Welcome to another expected Buffalo post-game show. We are brought to you by One Pie Pizza, onepie.pizza.com, 2185 Clinton Street in West Seneca, in Hiller and Comerford, hillercomerford.com, 1866 Hiller Law for your local personal injury and disability go-to. Another post-game show, another victory. I was trying to think today. I don't think I've done a post game where they haven't won. I guess that happens when you do these when you start this during the streak, and then, it's pretty easy to say that they only lost one time in their last 12 or 13 games now. That's pretty easy, and it's not planned. I know ahead of time which one of these games I'm doing these for, but here we are, 5-2 win on the road against the New York Rangers. What I would classify, the 5-2 score might not make you think that it was, but I would classify this as a gritty victory, and we'll get into that a little bit here. But I don't know. I feel like it's just one of those games when you're done. It's you can probably see it. I'm talking. If you're watching the live video here, is the smile. Just put a smile on your face. It's another one of those. It's another one of those games that makes you believe because of how different things are. It's different that they don't fall apart. It's different that they hold a lead. It's different that they finished off a team. It's different that they're doing the things you have to do to win. It's different that you're getting your goaltender to make saves for you. It's throughout this entire streak, and of course, that's what happens when you can win 12 games. There's just a build, and this is a team that I think is confident now going into games, that thinks they can win games, that really, and I think the biggest thing for me is it's not a big deal anymore if something bad goes your way. That second goal, that again, we get that's a rough goal for Ellis, and we'll get to him in a minute here, but it's no big deal. We'll continue to play, the game, and it was hairy in the third period for sure. It got a little crazy in there, but they stuck it with it. The goaltender made some saves for you. You get a 4-minute penalty, and you're like, yeah, well, I don't know. This is going to be rough. Hold on for dear life. Oh, no big deal. 30 seconds, whatever it was into it. Matias Samuelson comes down and turns into Ovechkin and pops it under the bar over Jonathan Quick's shoulder. And you're on your way from there. It clearly rattled the Rangers, and they took control of it on that penalty kill. There was really no true threat or anything. Again, there were some moments there was a post, but I feel like they were in control for most of that 4-minute penalty kill. And then the empty net goal with McLeod. That's nuts, man. That is, and that's, I think, what I get to the crux of this whole entire opening here is a team that believes they can win, that wants to win. He is probably, what was he, at the hash marks? Fires a shot down the ice at the empty net. Mind you, this is a situation where it's not you're killing a penalty, it's an icing. He knows he's going to miss, follows his own shot all the way up the ice, beats the entire Ranger team up the ice to collect his own rebound on the empty shot, on the empty net shot attempt, and then finishes the game off by burying in the net. That's it right there. That is it right there. Just the perfect example of this team just being different. And, we've all had, including myself, had our reservations of, going all in on this team or believing entirely. And I really wanted to see how they responded after that loss for the 10-game winning streak. And, I think the response has been good. Now, don't get me wrong. These two games haven't been perfect, as I talked about. The Vancouver game had its moments. Tonight had its moments. I would say really for 2/3 of the game, I didn't really like the way they were playing. The first period, I didn't love it. I think there's a lot of poor puck decisions in that return in the third period. I thought their second period was better. But it's funny because I'm looking at the numbers here of the charts that we posted. If you go period by period with shot quality, the 0.99 in the first period, almost a 1 at 5-on-5 was their best period offensively. And that's primarily because the Rangers gave them opportunities and were trying to see how quickly they can get down in that game. The Sabres didn't take advantage of it, missing nets, hitting posts. The second period was a 0.82 to a 0.64 in favor of the Rangers. And then the third period, as you would assume, is a 0.84 to a 0.28 at 5-on-5 in favor of the Rangers, ending the night at a 48-51 split on shot quality, then a 54-45 split on shot share. Pretty much score effects in a sense. The Sabres were leading in shot share through 2 periods. They were leading in shot quality through 2 periods. And then they kind of just really parked that bus in the third, which they haven't done that much, through this streak. I feel like they've been a little bit more buttoned up in the third period, but, again, they got through it, right? And that's all that matters. You get through it, you're on the road, you get your 2 points, and you put yourself in a spot now where we'll end this. We're going to talk about the next 5 games now around home ice. And you are in a great spot. You pick up that one road win against a conference opponent. And I think that's the thing, too, that for me that was important, is if you're playing a Western Conference team and you give up that point and you go to overtime, shootout, whatever. I mean, you give up a point, it's fine. You don't really want to do that against the Eastern Conference team. And so that's really what I was afraid of in the third period. They were I don't want to say they were okay with it, but they would have settled for that, go to overtime, and then, you're in a coin flip situation. And even if you win, you give an Eastern Conference team that's in the mix a point out of that game, and then maybe give the Rangers some life and it sparks them. But, it's a dual win here. You get your 2 points over a conference opponent, and then I think in a sense you bury the Rangers. There's been a lot. Oh, look at the dog made an appearance in the background. There's been a lot around the Rangers here recently, and I think that that I don't want to say that puts them away, but I think it's tough. It's a nail in the coffin the way that game ended. Really is a bad look for them. There's a lot of games left. The Rangers really by any means are not out of it. Not having Adam Fox or Igor Shesterkin is really going to hurt them, and they are just a team that cannot generate offense consistently. I know they did in the third; they had their opportunities, but beyond that, just couldn't do it. Just really was not threatening until the third period, except when Panarin was on the ice, which was interesting because I was paying close attention to him today, and I only really felt in danger when he was out there was Zibanejad. Other than that, not much from the Rangers. So good luck to them, figuring out what they're going to do there. I really do appreciate the dog making a cameo over my left shoulder here, just his face just hanging out there on the couch. So a treat for those watching the video, getting to see him hang out. All right, let's move along here to the notes that I have. So not the best overall performance. Good teams find ways to win. The next thing on my list is the man of the match, the player of the game for me. Could we make an argument the player of the season? Matias Samuelson? Like, it just, every game, it just goes on and it gets better. Like, that's the craziest part. It's an insane shot that he takes, right? Like, it's, I don't want to say it's once in a lifetime. He's a professional NHL player. I'm sure he could, do that all the time. But it's 2 goals tonight. There's that short-handed goal that essentially puts the game away. And then there's the first goal of the game where he makes that nice play. He picks up his own rebound, goes low, gets quick out of position, and then hits down in front for basically empty net tap-in. I mean, and then that, not to mention like his defense itself. It's just, I think he was one of the best. I'm looking right now. I think he graded out as one of the better defensemen on the team when he was on the ice in shot quality and all that. Like, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. Yeah, 55%, which is the best defenseman on the team in shot quality. And then shot share, he was at 50%, which whatever. But I mean, yeah, he finished still 56% when you round up in shot quality, best on the team, or best for defenseman on the team. It's every night. He wins his minutes every night. And, I joke around and I say, like, when does, Norris, and we all do. But really, like, do I think he's going to be a top 3 Norris guy? No, of course not. Do I think he's somebody that you look down the list when the voting comes out and he gets a couple votes here and there? Absolutely. I feel like he's earning that. And, maybe he's not going to end up with the point total at the end of the season to warrant that. But I think if anybody watches more than just their individual team, watches the full league, and gets an opportunity to see what Samuelson is doing for this team, I mean, it's wild. The glow up there is wild, and it's really an example too. And I stand on it too. I was one of the people in the off season and before that didn't want him on the team anymore. But it's really another testament to defenseman. You gotta let him cook. I think he's 25, 20. I think he's 25 years old. I want to say maybe 24, but defensemen, they take a little bit longer to hit that peak, a little bit longer than maybe a forward would into their mid 20s. And maybe it's something we have to consider about Bo Byram, who's going in the right direction, and then Owen Power. I mean, look at him; he's starting to go in the right direction now. I don't think tonight was Byram and Power's best game. I know Byram made that nice play on the second goal. He continues to just make those plays. Seems like once a game offensively to be involved. But as a pair, I think they had their struggle moments getting pucks out of the net, out of the zone. But still, I mean, it's. You got to let young defensemen cook a little bit. And it's really crazy, speaking defensemen, when you consider all of this, that they're winning 12 games. They're playing the way they're playing. They're having these guys step up. And, if you were just sitting here being realistic, Rasmus Dahlin is what? Third, fourth best defenseman right now. And that's not to say he's not playing good or he's okay. But by his standards, he hasn't been game breaking or really that wildly impactful or jumping out by any means. You've had Samuelson jump up. You've had Byram step up. You've had Power really get going here over the last month too. Kesselring was starting to get a little bit better as the season was going on until another unfortunate injury, and we'll see how that goes and he comes back. But I think that's the impressive part here is you're doing this when your best player isn't really being your best player. He's maybe right now your 6th or 7th best player. So imagine if he hits that gear we know he has, if he gets going in the right direction, that can only take him to another level. And the off-ice stuff, you understand that. And like I said, and I'm not saying by any means he's playing poorly because he's not. It's just not to the level that we're expected to see. And luckily he doesn't have to be that for them anymore. He doesn't have to be the guy that drags them along because the rest of the roster has stepped up, is deeper than it has been in a long time, and they're still able to win games because of it. So 2 more things I want to touch on. A little bit of a negative spin in a sense here. I'm going to get into this next topic, but I think it's something worth a discussion. And that's the Ostlund-Krebs situation. So Krebs on the first line, Ostlund on the fourth line. I think it's becoming more evident that's not really working. The Tage line tonight was a 32% expected goal share with Krebs on it. 0.11 expected goals for. That's, you would like better from that out of your top line. And again, when you look at the numbers over the full stretch of that Doan, Thompson, Krebs line, they're not terrible. They're above 50% in shot share and shot quality. The goal differential, I think, is above 50% too, right at 50%. But I think for me, it comes back to there's not enough offense being generated there. That's really what I come back to on that. And we saw Ostlund get a shift up there, and it was only one shift, but I thought they had some good zone time, and it made me curious what more opportunities would look like there because I think Ostlund, he's not the grinder similar forechecker to what Krebs is, but I think he has that. I think he has an upside to his game defensively. We've seen even tonight, it wasn't his best game, but I think Ostlund made some nice defensive plays, stopped some rushes again, got the puck back up the ice. That tripping call on Panarin was insane. That was just a well-played defensive play. But the Sabres are due a penalty, and you do that to Panarin, you're going to get that call. But really, I think it's best to maybe do a flop there, even though they're still winning these games. I just think it's in the best interest to pull a switch because that fourth line tonight just obliterated. They got crushed. I think they ended at a 15% expected goal share. And not only were they crushed, their primary matchup was against the New York Rangers fourth line that had Rempe and again, just career fourth liners. That group just demolishing you all night long. I feel like it doesn't work. Get Krebs back in there. It worked with Greenway and Melenstein, and then let Ostlund get an opportunity again to play up the lineup and see how that goes for you. Let it go for a little bit. Take that for a spin, if you will. So I'm hoping they do it. I don't know. I get it. You're winning lineup. You don't want to mix it up too much. I understand, but I just feel like it's getting to a point now where you really squeeze the juice out of that Krebs on the first line, and it might not be the worst decision to mix it up here and see what a different look gives you. I'm not going to get into it now, but I think there needs to be a conversation about Jack Quinn here at some point. The light's just not coming on. I think we're at 18 games now with 1 goal. There's just too many offensive zone turnovers there. Too many plays are dying on the stick. You can compare it to Krebs in a sense where Krebs offensively, there's some plays that die in his stick and kills offense, but he does other things too in the game that can help you. Quinn doesn't. He's not a good power play guy. He doesn't kill penalties for you. He's not that good defensively. So it's, all that. He's not really a great playmaker. It's a lot of, again, everything with Quinn. That is my entire thing that I've always had with Quinn all along is when he goes to the middle of the ice, he's dangerous. But he just doesn't do it. Everything is perimeter. Everything is to the outside. You just watch him on a shift, and if the puck is rotating around, and with control in the offensive zone, it's rare that he's in the middle of the ice. He's either you can most likely find him pretty easily because he's the guy standing on the outside with a stick in the air, calling for the puck. He is the most successful when he attacks on the rush and he attacks the middle of the ice, and just doesn't do it enough or even really at all. And that's why it's one of the reasons he's having the struggles he's having, and maybe the injuries really got him, and that's unfortunate. But I'm hoping that that's something that Ruff is looking at, that Jarmo's looking at, because it's not working. It's one of the few weak links you have on your team right now. It's not costing you games, of course, but as you keep going along and things getting more important here, it's probably not going to work long term there, and they need to figure out a solution on that one. All right, so I wanted to wrap, like I said. So playoff spot officially by points and point percentage now. So it's not just a points percentage thing. They are on point. They are in there by points. They are tied with the Capitals for 50 points each, but they by points percentage, the league now puts them in. If you go by regulation wins, the Capitals would be in, but we're not there yet. We'll stick to the points percentage because that's a fair, accurate representation. So they've worked themselves into that spot. And then now you have your next 5 games at home. Anaheim on Saturday, Florida on Monday, and then Philadelphia, Montreal, Minnesota. So it's not a stretch of easy teams. Anaheim right now is really going through it. They're like 1-8 or 1-9 in their last 10 games. They just got smoked again by Carolina tonight. Florida lost, but it's the Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk is getting closer to coming back. I kind of wonder if maybe Monday would be a return day, but we'll see. Maybe they kind of sneak away on that one and they don't. With the Panthers being on the road, I don't know if he's on the trip or not. He might not be. The Flyers always give him a hard time, even though they beat them last time they played. I think that's a national televised game again, so we're going to get the Trevor Zegras show for that entire night. And then Montreal is a weird team. I watched a little bit of their game against the Flames yesterday. They won again today. They're just a quick team. They don't grind you out. They're not gonna, play a physical game with you. They're just fast and quick, and they make good puck decisions, get the puck up the ice, and they get on the attack quickly and get the puck out of their zone. Their goaltending has been inconsistent a lot of this season, and maybe that's the spot that you get them. But they just keep winning games with the style that they're playing. So that's Montreal for you. And then Minnesota. Minnesota has been going for a little bit here, so. That'll be a tough one. I don't know if you're gonna miss Wallstedt that time around, but we'll see when the calendar approaches who will be in that for the Wild. All right, well, I think that's it. I mean, it's crazy. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. There's almost 1,300 people here, which is pretty crazy. But that's what this hockey team does. It brings people back in when they're good. I've always said it that like once they start winning games, it's not going to be hard to get people in. And when it seemed like it in the moment that like, oh, I'm not going to come back, and it's going to be hard to get people back. But 11 o'clock at night on a Thursday, there's over 1,300 people watching this right now about a hockey team that just won their 12th game of their last 13. So back to work on Saturday at home, Ducks in town. And let's just keep it rolling. Let's keep going here. So we'll talk again soon. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you later.